Ladies and gentlemen, if we can have you all please take your seats. We're going to begin this momentarily. Thank you. We'd like to welcome everyone to the dialogue with Indigenous peoples' perspectives on regional trade. At this time, I'd like to welcome Chairman Greg Saras of the Federated Indians of Greater Rancheria.
Thank you, thank you. Welcome, everyone. Again, I'm Greg Saras, Chairman of the Federated Indians of Greater Rancheria, and we are very proud to be a premier sponsor of APEC this year. We are descendants of the Coast Miwok and Southern Pomo people just north of the bay here, and we are so excited once again to be here this morning with Indigenous people and talking about trade. It was so wonderful. But it has always been our tradition to acknowledge the land and the people on where we are standing today. And while my tribe is just on the other side of the water, I must always respect the tribe who belongs right here, and they are the Ramaytush Ohlone people. And today I am honored to have Greg Castro from the tribe come and give a blessing. Greg?
Thank you, Chairman Saras. Hershatuhi. Greetings to you all, honored visitors and guests, to Yelamu, our ancient homeland. I'm Greg Castro, Culture Director of the Association of Ramaytush Ohlone, the indigenous people of San Francisco. I offer welcome and blessings from my people with our wishes for successful outcomes to your discussions and that our Earth Mother sustained you while you're here in our homeland, San Francisco. Thank you.
It's great to see all of you here around this table. And thank you so much, Chairman Saras, for inspiring our discussion with your blessing of our gathering this morning. I want to echo your acknowledgement that we are on the unceded ancestral homeland of the Ramaytush Ohlone, who are the original inhabitants of the San Francisco Peninsula. I want also to thank the distinguished representatives from Australia, Canada, and Aotearoa, New Zealand, and to Chief Hoskin. We are so honored to have you here with us. I want to also thank, of course, my fellow ministers from Australia, Don Farrell, Canada, Mary Ng, and Aotearoa, New Zealand, Damien O'Connor, for working with us to prepare for this event. Your counsel has been essential to our successfully having this convening happen. Chief Lynn Malerba, our panel moderator this morning, is an incredibly engaged interlocutor with our Indigenous communities in the United States in her roles as Treasurer of the United States and as Chief of the Mohegan Tribe. Lynn, it's an honor to have you here. Thank you for your enormous contribution to this event as well. As we begin our discussion, I want to underscore how significant this event is to the U.S. APEC host year and why we have incorporated it as part of the overall program for the APEC ministerial meeting. It is because our economies are more than just numbers and data sets. Our economies are made up of people, and so we need to make sure that our economies work for our people. Not only for those that know the ins and outs of trade policymaking, but also for those who may have been traditionally left out of those conversations. Not only must they have a seat at the table, their voices also must shape the work that we do and the work that we produce. And this is why in the United States we have made it a priority to hear directly from more people across our society, from across our economy, to meet people where they are: workers, students, small business owners, women entrepreneurs, and to hear their priorities and concerns. Inclusion has been at the core of what the United States and USTR in particular, have worked to advance this year. Many of you joined me at our first ever minister-level labor dialogue during the MRT in Detroit in May. And today is another first, with this minister-level AMM dialogue with Indigenous peoples. November is Native American Heritage Month in the United States, and I was reflecting on how our story with trade in this country begins with our Indigenous communities. They were our first traders. From pelts to food and tools and so much more, trade among tribes was vibrant and flourishing well before the arrival of settlers from Europe. It was a sustaining, driving way of life. So as we honor this rich history in our country, I invite my APEC colleagues to also contemplate ways that we can craft policies that deliver real benefits to more people across our economies, especially our Indigenous communities. Since the beginning of the Biden-Harris administration, we have sought to strengthen and deepen our engagement with tribal nations and all Indigenous partners in the United States. And just a few weeks ago, I was honored to participate in a third formal round of tribal consultations on behalf of the U.S. Trade Representative's Office. I always come away from these conversations with a deeper understanding of the interests of our Indigenous partners. One example is on misappropriation of Indigenous goods in trade. And I've been grateful that this issue has been brought to my attention, and my staff and I are now working with colleagues across the U.S. government to explore tools for addressing this problem. I'd also like to note that the United States greatly appreciates the work that is happening among partners in the Indigenous Peoples Economic and Trade Cooperation Agreement, or APEC. I know that a number of our panelists today have been very involved in this mechanism. We've appreciated the outreach that we have received from APEC partners on the United States becoming an observer to the arrangement. And I'm happy to note that we have this question under active and positive review in our administration. Today is an exciting opportunity for me, and I hope for all of my fellow ministers, to broaden our understanding of Indigenous perspectives on trade beyond our own individual economies. My hope is that this dialogue can remain a mainstay in APEC's trade and investment work moving forward. It is now my privilege to turn to our moderator, Chief Malerba, to kick off the discussion with our distinguished panelists. And at this point, I would like to request that members of the press depart.